Oh boy, a lot of really awful, corrupt people are really pissed off. As of course, let the freakouts begin, as now the major challenges have just begun for Donald Trump and Elon Musk that are making some excellent, significant headway when it comes to uncovering just a huge amounts of waste, crap, nonsense that is being wasted away through your tax dollars. And of course, the people who usually relied on those kickbacks, on those programs, on those operations, on those larger divide and conquer schemes that they heavily profited off of are big mad that it's happening, as now we should be looking into what are they going to be doing to stop Donald Trump. Will it be effective? Well, let's take a look at it, as Elon Musk has been on an absolute tear on Twitter. Being on Twitter has been the most entertaining time of my 21 plus 1 year career, as we are seeing in real time full-on disclosures, as Elon Musk just talked about. Hey, you know, it would be great to make Ron Paul, the chairman of the Federal Reserve Banking System, retweeting specifically Charlie Kirk on this matter, as he might actually be auditing this quasi-private, allegedly public Central Reserve, fractional reserve banking system, as he just uncovered how FEMA has disobeyed direct orders from the White House, from the executive office, from his executive order that specifically banned the government from spending money that it wasn't supposed to. FEMA said, you know what? We're just going to do what we want, as they're now paying for 5-star luxury hotels for immigrants inside of New York City. This, by the way, being the same organization, as Elon Musk points out, that took money from Americans and then during the time of a disaster relief said that they just didn't have enough to help them out, as their response to the national historic kind of emergencies that happen in the Carolinas, that happen in California, really just highlight and show you a totally defunct government that clearly doesn't have their priorities straight. As Elon Musk says, under Biden, FEMA took money away from Americans in need of disaster relief and spent it on a 5-star hotel for illegals, quote, pure evil, highlighting how FEMA is like, oh, Americans need some, yeah, sorry, guys. You guys are Americans. You guys are second-class citizens here. We got to worry about the new citizens that are going to be future Democratic voters here, as the programs just keep getting more and more ridiculous. As we also found out that DOGE just terminated a $2.3 million contract for a VR training course teaching soldiers how to have difficult conversations surrounding DEI. Nope. This is not The Onion. This is not a satirical piece of entertainment. This is what, look at this law. This little Canadian South Park looking jarhead here in an official government program that you paid for, as you're having difficulties struggling, as you're having difficulties paying for groceries, as you're having difficulties making ends meet. The government is taking your money on this absolute ridiculous nonsense.
There's a trained individual who is going to have the conversation. He or she will be able to either elevate the difficulty of the conversation or back down and understand. The time that we're living in is we have conversations that are difficult, specifically dealing with people or differences of opinions. It's important for us as individuals and leaders and service members to have these conversations.
Yeah, you thought mind control was bad? You got to be freaking kidding me. And again, a lot of it is probably like, hey, can we, promote people that actually deserve to be there, that work the hardest, that have the best score results, and the AI robot, can't compute, racist, bigot, jail, start crime, how dare you be not a woke warrior, with these larger efforts, these larger programs just being absolutely ridiculous. But now begins the very difficult part for Donald Trump, and that includes a lot of the people standing in their way from being able to implement their agenda. It's been 2 weeks, and so far, the Trump administration has done amazing things. Some of the things I disagree with, some of the things I criticize here on this public YouTube channel, but vast majority of stuff, absolutely amazing. Now here comes the resistance that today is also using religious pastors in order to invoke violence. And now we have a Democratic politician that just sterilized themselves because of Trump. Yes, that's self-fulfilling prophecy there, as of course that's not the only challenge there against Donald Trump, as there's a lot of very interesting court ruling as detailed here by the New York Times that talks about how a judge just ruled that the White House failed to comply with court order. And, you know, on face value, it's like, oh, wow, the Trump administration isn't listening to the court. What did the court order? Well, it's a left-wing progressive activist judge that says, hey, you guys can't stop the spending of these grants. And the Trump administration is like, we're just here trying to figure out where these grants are going to. And an activist judge is saying, no. We want to make sure that you release the funds immediately. Pay the people. Make sure that all these programs get out there. And the Trump administration is like, we just want to know where the money's going to. And the judge is saying, nope, you cannot find out. You cannot investigate. You need to comply. It's in plain text. You need to give away taxpayer money immediately. Which is going to be pretty interesting to see how Donald Trump and his administration are going to be responding to a lot of these kind of activist judges and their larger kind of rulings here, since, of course, they could rule whatever they want. And, of course, the legal challenges are going to be very vast. They're probably going to be going to the Supreme Court, but expect a lot of them, since a lot of them are already happening, since there's already 40 lawsuits that have been filed against Donald Trump and his administration challenging what the New York Times calls his brazen moves. Well, they're not brazen. They're moves that a lot of Americans voted for, as, of course, this is what Donald Trump campaigned on. Donald Trump campaigned on finding government waste, on exposing government corruption, on making sure that the American taxpayer wasn't just milked dry, as now there's also a lot of legal challenges, specifically with the Treasury Department, with a previous court ruling saying, no, Elon Musk and his DOGE team cannot have access to, quote, sensitive information and data. So you're saying we can't even get an audit here? We can't even find out where the money's going to? As one of the individuals that is up in arms right now against, you know, having any kind of legitimate accountability here is Lawrence Summers, or as we know him, Larry Summers, a good close associate of Mr. Jeffrey Epstein, as he came out today saying, I joined the Treasury secretaries today in writing in a New York Times op-ed piece that we are alarmed. Alarmed? Really? You're alarmed at people finding out about what you're doing here? And he calls this, quote, unlawful coercion to our democracy. Yeah, I'm sorry, but us finding out what you guys are spending money on, us finding out what you're actually doing with our taxpayer-funded salaries is of the utmost importance. It looks like I was also able to ratio this man, as of course I responded to it with an article from Forbes highlighting new documents reveal how frequent Larry Summers, Woody Allen, and more met with Jeffrey Epstein. That has 5.3 thousand hearts. He's getting them ratioed, to say the least here, as of course this is the type of stuff that we support. As previously, there was entire media outrage campaigns against my merchandise that you could exclusively get on the bestpoliticalshirts.com. We released a lot of really fun stuff that makes people think, that makes people laugh. And if you haven't gotten a shirt yet, what are you waiting for? We have hats, too. We have socks. We have Joe Biden sniffing your feet socks. We have a lot of really fun, creative stuff that you just could type in. Whatever your least liked government agency is, you just kind of come in here, you type in something like, you know, the ATF, and we have our Defund the ATF t-shirt available for you. We have a bunch of them about the FBI, too, and a lot of really great ones that, most importantly, just help you spark the conversation. Help people understand that they're not alone. And I think we're building a critical mass that is highlighting we're not alone. Of course, getting the shirts also supports us one-on-one as an independent media organization, and it's also one of the best ways to be a lazy activist and get the important messages out there, but also make people think, as these ideas cannot be censored, unlike all the other political ideas that have recently been censored on big tech social media. So, Epstein's friends being pissed off that they're asked for some accountability and transparency here. It doesn't surprise me, as of course they have their hands filled in some really dirty operations and projects that probably the general public would be shocked in. As just a couple of moments ago in the making of this video, another judge just extended the freeze on President Trump's plan to fire millions of federal workers. And again, it's the memes here are pretty clear here, as the legal challenges are only mounting. As the newrepublic.com also released this very interesting article saying Trump's reaction to court order blocking DOGE is as ominous as it gets. Again, sensationalistically, hyperbolically, as he was asked by a reporter from the Huffington Post specifically about J.D. Vance's comments about this, specifically kind of questioned the larger judicial process here, and essentially saying that the executive office is able to do a lot of these things without permission from an activist judge. That's what J.D. Vance said. A reporter brought this up to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump didn't look too pleased and decided to respond with this particular answer to the Huffington Post that wasn't holding anything back.
The Vice President suggested that if the Supreme Court rules in a way that you don't like, they can just enforce it by themselves. Do you agree with that?
I don't know even what you're talking about. Neither do you. Who are you with?
Up close, sir.
Who?
Up close.
No wonder. I thought they died. Are they still around? I haven't read them in years. I thought they died. All right, go ahead. Who else?
Yeah, a little bit awkward there, to say the least here, as he's like, I don't know what you're talking about here. A big nothing burger, but according to this media publication, it's very ominous. The guy didn't know what you were talking about. The guy is not Santa Claus. He's not all-knowing, but it is going to be interesting to see how they move forward, as I expect a lot of significant legal challenges to automatically go to the Supreme Court. And it's not just legal challenges that are, of course, pushing back against Trump's agenda. It's also leakers within the federal government, including the ICE agency, that looks like they are now warning specific groups and individuals that there are raids coming on them. And now there have been a number of ICE raids that have been unsuccessful, mainly because we're finding out that people are being tipped off internally from the federal government as deportation agents are literally trying to go after gang members, cartel members, dangerous people in our society that have violated the law, that are criminals. And there's people within our own government tipping them off, saying, hey, guys, you guys are getting raided soon. And then, of course, the raids don't happen. As our Attorney General just was asked about this during the Super Bowl, and this is what she had
to say. And I have to say, for all the great news that we have and the job that you will be doing for this country, I have to begin on that down note. There may be a leak inside the House as it relates to DHS and some of the operations that they are attempting to carry out. What's your reaction to hearing about that, and what, if anything, can be done to mitigate that?
Well, if anyone leaks anything, people don't understand. That jeopardizes the lives of our great men and women in law enforcement. And if you leaked it, we will find out who you are, and we will come after you. And it's not going to stop our mission. It's not going to stop the president's mission to make America safe again. We were very clear with the lawsuit that we filed in Chicago that if you don't follow the law, you will be prosecuted by the Department of Justice.
Yeah. Now, who will win out here as this kind of larger back and forth between the left and the right, I think is only going to be more tumultuous, especially when the weather gets better, especially when more people start protesting, more people start getting organized, as a lot of people are really pissed off. But the Trump administration is doing something brilliant. They're cutting off their funding. They're cutting off all of their money that used to buy their, quote, resistance. U.S. aid overwhelmingly spent a lot of money, according to a lot of experts, on left-wing causes, on liberal, woke DEI causes. Once you get rid of that money, this whole kind of established machine, this outrage machine, loses a lot of its kind of weaponry, loses a lot of its power. And with the Republicans controlling the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, the presidency, these legal challenges will, of course, be challenged, probably go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will rule. But the important part will be what will happen in the interim. Will Trump kind of abide by these court orders, or will he file appeals and then just kind of ignore them? Regardless, I think it's fair to say that we're going to see a lot of people on the left freaking out. And I think it's fair to say that they're freaking out because they're finding out where their money is actually traced to and how they are just absolutely horrible, awful human beings. That right there is being offered up to the general public on a silver platter. They are getting disclosures. They are getting truth. They are getting an understanding of, oh man, I'm getting taxed how much? And it's going to literally turning monkeys into these transformers, mice into transformers. Are you kidding me? Why is my money going to this type of idiocy, this nonsense? VR, DEI training about uncomfortable situations about race here. And I think this is why we are seeing so much scrambling, as the corporate media is going to lose a lot of their funding. The politicians, the activists, the judges also are one of the last few pieces there that have been set up by the Soroses, by the progressive causes, by the taxpayer. And they're the ones that are going to be, of course, standing in the way as all of this is finally exposed, as it's finally revealed here, as now I think there's other greater dangers ahead of us that could include, of course, attacks on either Elon Musk or Donald Trump. I'll talk about that in future videos, as we just did a video about a drone that was flying over Trump's motorcade in Pennsylvania, as we just found out a few weeks ago, which was also extremely concerning. But I do believe right now that clearly the left wing has lost here. This is them just trying to do anything and everything that they can. These court orders will be probably challenged, repealed. It will go to the Supreme Court. And overwhelmingly, right now, I don't think there's anything other than a direct attack or violence against them that could stop this larger Trump train. Because even Jon Stewart in the Court of Public Opinion is saying, you guys can't even pass your audits. You guys can't even tell us where our money's going to. And there's politicians and there's media personalities and there's all these activists saying, no, let's keep our money. They're like, let's find out where your money's going first, okay? No, it's babies. No, it's making monkeys into transformers. That's not feeding babies. Okay, bro, calm down. Calm your tits. As jeez Louise, just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, it's going to get a whole lot crazier. Get a shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Support this independent media broadcast. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys subscribing, clicking the notification button, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.